Hello, fellow Inquisitors, Split Persona here, and welcome back to our continuation of character class breakdowns. In the last episode, we covered the Crusader class. In this one, we are going over the Assassins. So, there are three Assassin classes, well, three subclasses, I should say. Just as there was with the Crusader. And if you missed the Crusader class, I suggest that you go back and watch it. I'll leave like a timestamp card or something in the video. That way you can just click on that and jump to that video. Give that a watch. That'll explain how we're going about the breakdowns and stuff. But our first subclass for the Assassin is the Sniper. So, your first perk that you start out with is Run and Gun. 100% ranged damage bonus for 1 second after moving. Very similar to the one perk that the Crusader had. It's the exact same thing, but this one's going to be a little bit different because you're a sniper. You are going to be dealing with a lot of long-ranged weaponry. For your attributes, you start with 5 automatically in accuracy. So your base damage is going to be a lot higher. So you're already going to be dealing that 10% suppression damage bonus automatically as soon as you start in. So this here is very nice to have. You got 1 in survival and you got 1 in bloodlust. Everything that you start with is in accuracy. And same as before, we're starting out at level 5 because we skipped the tutorial. We're going to be doing that for every video and every character. We're going to skip the tutorial, start out at the same level. That way they're all at the same starting point and giving us a fair comparison. For your inventory, your armor that you're going to start out with for the Sniper class is going to be the Hololithic armor, which is going to give you Hollow Field. Projects hololithic duplicates of the agent as a diversion. Duplicates can fight for 60 seconds or until they're destroyed, dealing suppression damage only. This is actually a very useful armor piece. This right here can get you out of a lot of tight situations. If you find yourself surrounded by enemies and you activate this, basically what it'll do is it'll summon in 2 duplicates. Now, they won't directly damage the enemy. They can't do health damage. But as far as suppression damage, they actually do quite a bit. So if you have an enemy that is actually very tanky in suppression, I suggest even just popping these guys, activating this ability, and let them whittle down the suppression and keep it under control while you're dealing most of the damage. Plus, because of how it functions, they will actually act as a diversion, allowing you to, if you're in a situation where you're being surrounded, you can get away then. So, this ability, the Hollow Field, very handy to have. And then your one starter weapon that you have is, of course, the Sniper Rifle, because you're the Sniper class. So your first ability on that is Single Shot. Delivers a single shot at the target. Armor breaking, knockback, and single target. Then you have Explosive Shot. Long range, single target attack. Deals explosive damage in a small area. Sniper Shot. Long range, single target attack. Can target specific body parts and damage can be increased by charging. Shoot and Retreat. Continuous fire while moving away from the target until you release the button. This actually pairs very well with your Hollow Field, because you can activate your Hollow Field and then activate your Shoot and Retreat while they're taking the damage and everything else and distracting. And one thing I forgot to mention with Hollow Field is you can activate it twice. So you can summon up to 4 of the duplicates, which is actually very, very nice to have. And then in your second slot, you have 2 auto pistols. Short burst, a short burst that fires multiple shots. Full auto, continuous fire as long as you are holding the button. Crippling salvo, continuous automatic fire until you release the button. Sorry about that. Hinders enemy movement. And assault gunnery, continuous fire while moving towards the target until you release the button. So, whereas this one causes you to retreat from an enemy, this causes you to advance on the enemy. So the assault gunnery is a different type of skill. Very much a very charge in, go forward, and attack. But as far as passives, you have melee combat, ranged combat, single DPS, area effect, physical attacks, aim shots, critical hits, damage over time, heat attacks, support, debuffs, suppression, movement, health, and defense. The only ones that are locked is execution, which complete this heroic deed to unlock, you have to do relentless slaughter, kill enemies with melee skills. And of course your radical path and your Puritan path are story missions. Since this character is mostly ranged damage focus, to get your execution unlocked is a little hard, simply because most of your damage is going to be, especially in the beginning, focused on ranged. You're probably not going to focus about unlocking execution. If you do, you're going to be completely changing how this character plays, and the other character that we have are probably going to be more of a focus if you're going for a melee heavy build, which we're going to cover them. So that there is the sniper class. Okay, so our next assassin is going to be the infiltrator. Whereas our last assassin, the sniper, was mostly ranged focus. This one here is melee based. So don't worry about unlocking executions with the other one if you want to build on a heavy melee base. This one here, the infiltrator, is going to be the one you want to pick if you want to go melee. The perk that it starts with, evasive ambush, plus 3% supreme dodge on kill in surprise state for 10 seconds. Stacks indefinitely. Basically, your dodge is this: chance to ignore enemy attacks, protecting from any damage. So, this here will increase your percentage to dodge for every kill that you have in a surprised state. And we'll go over what gives you that surprise state in a second here when we go over the gear. That comes from a very unique piece of armor that you get when you start out with this character. As far as attributes, you start out with 4. This character has 5 because 1 is getting a plus from a piece of gear. We have 2 in survival, and we have 2 in bloodlust. So it's still getting the extra base damage. Normally it wouldn't get that suppression damage, I wouldn't say, but because of how we got the gear, it's getting the extra point there. But yeah, it's getting 2 points normally here and 4 points here. Now, if we look at the inventory, this here is the stealth bodysuit. which gives you Stealth Field. On-off skill can only be activated when not being attacked for 5 seconds. Activation puts the character in stealth mode, which lasts until being spotted, moving within 5 meters of an enemy, until attacking, or until running out of adrenaline. Stealth mode drains adrenaline at a rate of 1 point per second while standing still. Movement costs double. Coming out of stealth mode bestows a surprise bonus to attacks for 6 seconds. The duration is halved if stealth mode ends with you being spotted. This is where that surprise state, kills in surprise state, comes from, is this right here, this stealth field. Basically what you do is this ability you have to turn on and off. If you have not been in combat for 5 seconds, you can activate this. Basically what you do is you turn it on, and it will drain your adrenaline. Adrenaline is the assassin's unique class resource. And basically what it does is, if you're standing still, it'll drain it at 1 point per second. Or if you're moving, it'll drain it at 2 points per second. So you definitely want to have as many points of adrenaline as possible if you're going to be running the stealth field. Now, what it does is, if you get within so close to an enemy, it will automatically turn off. And when it turns off, you get the surprise bonus, which gives you a damage increase. Okay? Now, if you turn it off before you get spotted, that bonus lasts for 6 seconds. If you get too close to an enemy and they spot you and it turns off on its own, it only lasts for 3. However, to be honest, I don't think it's too much of a hassle. I think that 3 seconds is more than enough time to get a couple of kills in, especially if you've got some really good weaponry. This you can go and use very well if you can get the right combo of perks and gear stacked. You can get some very good kills, because don't forget, this stacks indefinitely. You could basically, when you go into a surprise state and you start killing enemies, your dodge is going to keep going up, which means that as you get kills, your ability to get hit goes down, which means you're going to get harder and harder and harder to take damage. So, and it stacks indefinitely. So if you go into a swarm of small enemies that are easy to kill and you do this perk lasts for 10 seconds. So if you can do it quick, kill a small group of enemies in that surprise state, and then run into a large boss fight, you've got a couple of seconds of almost invulnerability to deal damage to him. So it's possibly if you can do it right, it's a very good combo, but you only have a couple of seconds for that surprise bonus. So be careful how you go about using it. As far as weaponry, like I said, this character, when you start, it's completely melee focused. You start out with, in your first slot, 2 Death Cult Blades. Blade Storm. Single target attack that can be chained into a ritualistic combination attack, creating a Death Cult combo. Wide Strike. Sweeping close quarters attack, hits multiple enemies. Phasing Assault. Single target phasing attack. executed from close to long range. The caster can phase through creatures but not obstacles. Carves a death mark into the target. And if you look over on the right there, death mark, negative 1% attack damage penalty to the target for 10 seconds. Can be stacked. So if you can chain that onto an enemy, like a boss, they'll deal 1% less attack damage, which comes in very handy. And then we have Killing Blow. Single target combination attack. Removes all death marks from the target. Grants plus 20% bonus damage per mark for every successful hit. So if you can keep doing this phasing assault on a boss and then finish it up with Killing Blow, this is a very good combo. Very good. Very strong. Very good. It does require a lot of balancing and, keeping track of everything. But if you can do it right, you can get some very high damage. Especially if you can combine it with surprise bonus from your stealth suit. In your second slot, you have the Assassin Power Sword. You have Blade Storm here. You have Blade Bite, area attack that can be changed into a ritualistic combination attack. Creates a death cult combo, carves a death mark into the targets. So this does the same thing as the other one, carves the death cult, or the death mark into them. Okay. This one has phasing assault as well. And this has Serpent Strike. Long range jumping attack deals poison damage in a large area upon impact. Carves a death mark into the targets. So your basic abilities are going to be, with these weapons that you start with, putting death marks upon your enemies and then finishing them up with something like Killing Blow that for every death mark you apply to a large enemy deals bonus damage. That is your goal. You are going to be hit real quick, do a bunch of damage, and then finish them up with that single attack. That is how this character plays. As far as passives, you have melee combat, because this is what your character is focused on. Ranged combat, single DPS, area effect, physical attacks, executions, aim shots, critical hits, damage over time, heat attacks, support, debuffs, suppression, health, and defense. Movement speed is locked until you reach level 7. As soon as you do, you are going to want to pump in as much movement speed as possible. This character is very much movement focused. This here, surprise state, you need to move as fast as possible to get as many kills. So you have to go and get as many kills as possible in that short amount of time. Like I said, if you turn off the stealth field by yourself, you've got 6 seconds. If an enemy spots you and turns it off for you, you have 3. So if you can do it right, you can get up to 6 seconds of kill time and just keep stacking your dodge bonus, which that will keep you from getting damage and knock down your percentage of taking damage. Which, if you're going into a large fight, the more you can stack that, the better. So, yeah, that there is the Infiltrator Assassin. Very much a melee, get in, deal a lot of damage, kill a lot of enemies very quickly, get back out character. Okay, And our last assassin is the Eradicator. The starting perk is Deadshot. 60% ranged damage bonus in surprise state. So we're dealing with that surprised state again, which the armor that we get is, it's a different type of surprise state than the stealth suit, and we'll cover that in a second. As far as attributes, you start with 3 accuracy, 1 in survival, and 4 in bloodlust. So that there is your attributes. If we look at our inventory, we have the Fabricatus Distortion Armor, which gives us Temporal Distortion Field. Creates a 10-meter radius area around the caster that slows down all kinetic projectiles as well as enemy movement and attack speed by 95%. The caster's attacks are counted as surprise for the duration. The distortion field remains for 10 seconds. Basically what it does is, this here will create a little time bubble around you. When you activate this, it will cause anything that enters into that bubble to slow down, whether it be ranged projectiles or melee enemies themselves. And any attack you make will count as a surprise while that's activated. So this here is 60% range damage bonus in surprise state. You're going to be doing this quite often. Now, whereas our last character was all melee focused with surprise state, this one is the opposite. This one here is completely ranged focused with the surprise state. So take your pick. What do you want to do with the surprise state? Would you rather go, completely melee focused, or would you rather go completely ranged focused? The only difference is what perk you start with. If you're going with melee focused, go with the other one. If you want to go with ranged focus, go with this one. As far as our weapons, we start with the shotgun. Single shot fires a shot of shotgun pellets, damaging all enemies in a cone in front of the character. Man stopper round, single shotgun discharge with heavy kinetic impact. Flechette rounds fires multiple high velocity penetrator rounds, can be charged by holding the attack button for a maximum of 3 seconds, which tightens the area effect cone. Burst shot, which fires several shots in quick succession, damaging all enemies in a cone in front of the character while advancing rapidly. So, again, you're going to be dealing a lot of damage inside this temporal zone while it's activated. So, everything you're dealing is going to be ranged. Because your other weapon you start with is a sniper rifle. You have single shot, delivers a single shot at the ant target. Explosive shot, long range single target attack, deals explosive damage in a small area. Sniper shot, long range single target attack, can target specific body parts and damage can be increased by charging. Continuous fire, while moving away from the target until you release the button. That's the shoot and retreat. So it's basically the same sniper rifle as what you get with your sniper class. So, like I said, you have 3 very similar yet distinct characters. Each one can use the other's armor. Each one can use the other's weapons. But what makes each one unique is the starting perks, the starting attributes, and the starting passives. This one here has melee combat, range combat, single DPS, area effect, physical attacks, execution, aim shots, critical hits, damage over time, heat attacks, support, debuffs, suppression, health, and defense. Movement speed is locked until level 13. So, unlike the last one, where it unlocked at 7, this one here unlocks at 13. So each character is unique. They have specific path upgrades. This one here, you're not going to unlock movement speed until 13. The last one, even though it still had something similar to the surprise and everything, and it was melee focused, that one unlocked movement speed at 7. So pick your poison. Do you want to go ranged? Do you want to go melee? Or do you want to just go and bypass, the whole surprise aspect and just deal with, starting off with, complete range damage? Move, shoot, sniper skills. Start off with that. I believe it was the sniper class had it where you moved, and then for, I believe it was 1 second, you had 100% increased damage. So you move and shoot, and then you have the distortion, or the hollow field armor, where you have the duplicates. Whereas with these two, you have the surprise state, where on the last one, on our infiltrator, you had the cloaking field, the one where you could go invisible. This one here, you have the distortion field, where it'll create the little bubble around you. You have to figure out what is your gameplay, what is your style. Would you rather go and try this mechanic where you're dealing this unique perk, this surprise perk, every time you activate this, or would you rather just deal straight up damage? Because that is going to dictate which of these characters you're going to play as. The assassin class they're all similar, but all different at the same time. So that there is the assassin class, and same as before, I'm gonna just put up some gameplay of each, and yeah, we're gonna go from there.